more to discuss up and on that. But joining us, as of course, with the changes in Major League Baseball thus far, and it's been really exciting, and getting his thoughts, former MLB outfielder Raul Gonzalez joins the show. Major League Baseball, I mean, to me, there's nothing like America's pastime only continuously evolving and getting better as we go through with the game. This ABS system, Raul, is really a game changer because number one is it's now evening the playing field for the pitcher and for the hitter because if a pitch is outside, the hitters can now make that decision and they'll go back and they can say, okay, it really is not within the batter's box itself. And then for pitchers, if it just kind of hits a little of that line, they can go back, look at it. So how have you felt about this evolution now with Major League Baseball's ABS system? Because I think it's doing a few things. It's not picking on umpires. I think it's holding them accountable for a lot of these strike calls. Because especially when you look at guys like CB Buckner and them, it's just helping them to really find clarity with a lot of these pitches that we've been going back and forth with. Is it in the zone, out the zone? What are your thoughts?
Thank you for having me, Jake. I like it. It's just take the doubt out of the at-bat. You don't have to go back and say, oh, that was a bad pitch, that was a bad call. If you're sure it's a bad call, you tip your hat, and get the result from the computer. I At first I believe it was not gonna be framing and all that because of the computer thing, but the framing is still there, and you have to really select the right time to challenge. And sometimes the pitches look really bad, and they kind of snip the corner, and you're out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and it's becoming a game changer for some because those strike calls that you don't think can hit the zone and then all of a sudden they do can help with getting your offense back out onto the plate and try to at least get the crucial runs. If you're down 2-3 runs or such, you can get the meat of the order back up and into it with just one call. And then the same thing with the offense. If you got a flowing offense right now that you don't want to end up taking out of the batter's box, that's an opportunity for them to really take advantage of that.
It is, man. I mean, a lot of times we're not very comfortable when they're making the new changes in the game, but I like that one. I think it's something like, the pitcher can call it, the catcher and the hitter, and you all have a saying this time. And you don't have a lot of opportunities, but you have to make sure, and you have to really sure depend on the situation of the game to get that call.
Yeah, it does. And it really can change a trajectory of a game. That's why I'm waiting until we get into postseason, because I want to see how much of an impact can really, determine the way in which a postseason can be ran by for that. So kind of getting your thoughts about this, because we had the World Baseball Classic not too long ago. To me, I thought it's fantastic. I love it. I think 2026 sports is fantastic for a few reasons. We had the Olympics that I thought were fantastic. United States comes up second in medal count. And then we had the World Baseball Classic where Venezuela it was really, like, I thought it was fantastic for them. And you could see how much of the energy and the vibe when you are playing and representing for your respective country and what it means to them. Because you got to think the international pool is only going to continue to to get bigger and better from here. So, I thought it was great. What were your thoughts on this? Because I think there still are some adjustments that need to happen. But as far as the timing in which that this tournament starts, like where do you kind of stand on that?
I don't know. It's very difficult to pick a time to play it. I think this is the right time because the players going through the off season, they pretty much know if they're gonna be on the team or not. They can prepare a little bit earlier and take advantage of it. If you do it at the end, a lot of guys just don't. They're tired after the season, and I think before spring training, maybe along spring training a little bit more and start the season a little bit later. Give them some more time with their own team before they go on the tournament. But this tournament this year was one of the best one I have seen. The vibe, the energy, everything was really good. Good surprises. There always a surprising thing on the tournament. Everybody look at the big things, and there's always someone sneaking. So that's what there's no scripture in baseball, so that's why it's so interesting because you never know what can happen and you never know what can win. You can have the best team, but not necessarily you're gonna win.
Yeah. No, and that's also too where you got to have like your best lineups. You also got to have your best pitching staff. And I felt like Venezuela, much like Italy, they were really scrappy, and it was going to come down to the wire of who was the best to come out of it and play in the championship. So I thought it was fantastic overall. But as far as for like the seasons, for example, for the Mets right now, because right now, we know with Pete Alonso's departure, you bring in Marcus Semien, you bring in Bo Bichette. Right now, these guys are not quite as clicking as we hope, but we know New York sports. You played in this organization. You know exactly how the environment is. It is you want instant you want an instant change to where this team is going to be winning and where this team is competitive because you got the Phillies, you got the Marlins who are having the best start in 17 years. And so when you think about that, like what has to happen? Because now there's talks about what could happen in Carlos Mendoza's job. And then if somebody like Carlos Beltran is right as a fit for managing this clubhouse.
Well, he was online before, but it's hard. It's hard to blame a manager on this situation, especially with the Mets when they kind of broke the team down. They kind of let a lot of people go, and they only left one player that was part of the other regiment, the other team, which is Lindor, and right now he's not playing at his best. And there's many elements of it. First, they changed the team, they switched the whole staff. They kept the manager, but they switched a whole new staff. All these players, they're not, it's uncomfortable. They let a lot of people go. Some financial teams, some let go. They brought new guys, and I don't know how baseball is now. This experience of the new people in the highest level are are different. A lot of them have not been there personally, so I just don't understand how they can transmit that energy to a major leaguer when you were not in that position, or at least being professional. So professional baseball player. So they change the staff and the change of the team. This is like it's honestly it's like a whole rebuilding without but trying to win at the moment. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough.
Yeah, and you figure you got rid of one outfielder with Brandon Nimmo going to Texas, and you're just trying to put all the pieces together as much as you can because we know Steve Cohen is not afraid to spend the money, but we know that you want to spend it right and have the right chemistry guys that understand the task, and then at the same time building for the right future for the next few years ahead to be competitive in the National League. So I think and I think it was interesting. So, um, I think personally, when I look at a lot of these teams, because we all know, like with the Dodgers spending up all the money that they are. But you know what, though? A lot of these teams that don't have the Dodger payroll, they're coming out and they're being competitive. I know it's early in the season, but when you think about that, because you even played into an era where, you had the hot stove, where the Yankees were spending money, the Red Sox were spending money. So when you look at this, I think it's quite possible that teams that don't have that high of a payroll. I was surprised of St. Louis to start the way that they did. Now you got Jordan Walker, who's got now 8 home runs to start the year. To me, is it quite possible for a small market that we've seen a couple times where they've come competitive? They kind of come out pretty fierce because when you go into the postseason, they're a team that They're taking out the background noise, and they want to strictly play. So I think it's quite possible because most people here in Denver are not even talking to the fact that the Rockies sold 40% of their stake to the Penner and the Walton family, which will give them more money to now go and spend and be competitive. So I'd say it's quite possible for a team that can really match with a team like the Dodgers, regardless of the spend, because it ultimately has to come to the magical moment of October that gives you the
Yes,
momentum and gives you the strength to play competitively.
definitely. Yeah, the Dodgers right now, they're the number one team. They're out of the gate playing good, and there's some other surprises like the Pirates are playing good, the Marlins. So, but it's early. It's like some teams that are winning, they probably not playing the elite teams right now. So this is a long season. This is a long marathon. I rather start good because if I get cold, I can get a chance to get hot again. But and when you start slow, is in the big league, it's hard. It's really hard to climb back up. So you at least if you're playing 500 now, you can be okay. But you have to pick it up because as soon as uh, the good teams get hot, they're really gonna get hot, and they're gonna start. They do what they do. They have more veteran players. They know when they have a low start how to get back on it. They trust themselves. A lot of the younger players or younger teams, if they don't have a good start, or personally they don't start good, it's really hard to clean back up because they don't have a lot of experience. And like in the big league, if they find a hole, they're gonna keep pounding you on that area until you make the adjustment.
Love it. This is why like postseason baseball is always my favorite come October because the stakes are high. And at the same time, it's also better for viewership because we know what to get. But you add in the new system, you add in a lot of these new additives, and I think it's going to be continuously competitive. But I do believe that it helps those quote unquote little guys to show up bigger in these bigger spots. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be exciting all the way through and through. But Raul, appreciate you for coming on by. Listen, prayers go out to your family during the time and hope for a best
Thank you.
recovery as well, man. Take care of yourself, and we'll see what happens throughout the entirety of the Major League season.
All right, Jay. Thank you for
Absolutely.
having me, and talk soon.
Absolutely, man.
All
All
right.
right. Transitioning up and over, and he knows a thing or two when it comes to being into the spotlights, and especially with a team with Edmonton, with all of the talent and